You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood.
Gotta roll me a
Niggas always claim to say blood ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Oh, I lived in the hood, ass nigga. Never got put on, always claiming the hood though. Oh, you fucking with the homegirl, but don't come to the hood with none of your damn homeboys. They don't get a pass. Had a little homies press they ass for your tattoos. Hey, your mama waking up to some bad news. The plug saying groove, I'm a dime. I was long in the race, skinny nigga with the braid, took a 2-man fade. I'm really from the hood. I took a fucking break to get my money right, but I was begging on the plane in the meeting with Jermaine. They like, poet, oh you bang? They forgot where I came from. I was gang banging when it wasn't fun. Homie doing life right now, cause we don't. You ain't from the hood. Nah. You ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood.
With the gun. Shout out to
you ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood.
Always shout out to Black Barbie.
Niggas always claim to say blood ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. And that goes for these hoes too. Start fucking on niggas and throwing these niggas hood up. Ha, little dot. Heard you gave a homie head in the trap spot. Gotta throw away in the stash spot. Boy, you not real, like a Sasquatch. Boy, I'm so high, I'm seeing astronauts. Boy, I ball hard, I need a mascot. Poet, and Swahili, I'm a Damu. My little cousin making Paru. My nigga Uzi, he from Fire Deuce. Pad blows, I be hanging with some real whoops. Gang signs out the window when we drive coupes. Making money with some crips like it's 92. Banging on tracks, banging on tracks. Back in my days, it was banging on. You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Niggas always claim to say blood ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood.
Fuck Chris Brown, nigga. Pull up in the hood right now, nigga. Catch your fade, nigga. Fuck, nigga. Frogs.
You ain't from the hood.
You ain't from the hood.
Holla so the blood starts swirling. Fuck you talking about, nigga. We out here, nigga, right now.
What's up with it, chat? And people that come in my chat with your patriot asses, how y'all been doing? Did you miss me? Have you been missing me? Well, hopefully you subscribe to my. No, I know you ain't subscribed to my Patreon because it's only a couple of people subscribe to my Patreon. But you need to subscribe to my Patreon so we can get these funds up, so we can get this channel back on the map. Now, this is the channel you only gonna get this type of information from. You ain't gonna get this information from nobody else, because don't nobody else think like I think. Don't nobody go outside the box like I go outside the box. Don't nobody take these stories and turn them into fucking documentaries like I do right now. It's a big old thing about Joe Biden done signed a federal bill to let people out of prison. Joe Biden done something spectacular. Joe Biden is the man. Joe Biden ain't done shit. I'm gonna tell you why. Let me get into the reason why, right? Now, as of right now, we ain't talking about time right now. What time, man? Time, you in the damn chat? I need to text Time and tell him we live. Let me text Time and tell him we live for Time get the talking shit if he missed the show. Time will call me and cuss me the fuck out. Time, we live. Come on in, Time. We live, Time. Now you got your warning, right? Now, I'm gonna let you know why Joe Biden ain't done shit, right? Because first I heard Joe Biden the law is affecting thousands and thousands of prisoners, right? Now let's see what thousands and thousands of prisoners mean, right? As of last year, right? It's probably less this year, right? But as of last year, this is how many people was in federal prison for weed or marijuana convictions, right? In the fiscal year 2001, according to commissions, 1,500 people were in federal prison for trafficking marijuana, compared to just 8,500 in 2015, right? And this is 1 day ago. This was updated 1 day ago. So last year, right, when Joe Biden is less this year, right? No, it's probably the same because this was updated a day ago, right? Thousands and thousands and thousands of prisoners he was going to let out, but he actually only let out 1,000. I mean, it's only going to affect 1,000 people. So you mean to tell me all this shit that they saying on the news and all this shit that they celebrating about Joe Biden, all these celebrities, right? You mean it's only going to affect 1,000 people, right? But you know what they say. I won't get into it. Oh, it's going to be for jobs and all this shit and housing. And we're going to get into that later on. Oh, somebody gave me a donation. Who gave me a donation? I heard that thing go off. Who gave me a donation on somebody send me some money to Cash App? Hey, you would be going on a skit. I got 3 skits coming up. I got Hunter Biden coming up. I got Hurricane Katrina and illegal aliens coming up. And I got, what else I got? Oh, and I got, OPEC coming up. If you're on my Patreon, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be up today. If you're on the Patreon, you get to pick and choose what video do you want me to put up for tomorrow, right, on regular YouTube, right? I'm going to have 2. I'll give y'all a sneak preview of both of them today because both of them finished, right? I'm just going to put the donation. You send me a donation, I'm going to put your name on it. I ain't finished downloading yet. Who sent me a donation? Who was kind enough to send me a donation, right? This is... Hold on, let me get to the damn people, man. This is, right, for the, oh, I'm passing them up. Oh, David Tillman. Good looking out for the donation, David Tillman, for thinking about it, nigga, on Cash App, right? But you give me, if I get some more donations, I can go get me some more weed, right? But trafficking marijuana compared to 3,000, right? Now, let me get into something different, right? Okay, now, we're going to go into this, right? Oh, no, matter of fact, let me go into the video before I go into the next clip. Let me go into the video. It'll be better if I back up truth over facts. I want to do truth over facts because that's what I do, y'all. I do truth over facts. This is Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, right, on weed convictions. Why everybody didn't celebrate what Donald Trump was doing the weed convictions, right? Why everybody wasn't having news conferences and Facebook posters and all this other shit when Donald Trump was releasing people from prison. But Donald Trump release and Donald Trump pardons was way more effective than Joe Biden's. Let's see the difference. Let's roll.
Top Democrats have unveiled draft legislation this week that would legalize marijuana at the federal level and, many would argue more importantly, erase nonviolent criminal records related to possession.
Yeah.
Right now, right, if you anybody knows that if you you can have your record expunged if you do a certain amount of time, right, outside of prison, you don't get in trouble like that, you can pay and get your record expunged. So having somebody record erased is not nothing really, right, because they're still gonna be able to search your convictions and arrest online, right, because online is a motherfucker. So right, getting rid of somebody's conviction ain't really gonna do nothing if you can search somebody's record online.
But when asked about the proposal, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that President Biden's stance on legalization has not changed. She still does not support it.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me Joe Biden don't support legal marijuana? He don't support it? He just, wait a minute, during election time, right, 2002, the midterms, now all of a sudden he making a big old fuss about it. But at first he still didn't want to make it legal.
Change. She still does not support it.
In U.S. news, presidential hopeful Joe Biden says that marijuana should remain illegal and related offenses should...
It should remain illegal. Joe Biden say marijuana should remain illegal. All of a sudden yesterday he made it legal? What happened, Joe? Why the sudden change of heart, Joe?
Should be classified as misdemeanors during the last Democratic debate.
I have a lot of respect for the vice president. He has sworn me into my office as a hero. This week I hear him literally say that I don't think we should legalize marijuana.
Conflicting with his previous support for decriminalization. Both positions single him out as the only Democrat candidate on the debate stage opposing outright cannabis legalization and could potentially lose him followers.
Could potentially lose some followers, right? But Joe Biden, right? Let me go back to this little article right here, right? Let me go back to what this says right here, right? Joe Biden claimed, matter of fact, let me play this clip first. Let me play this clip, then I play this, right? Let me get the words out of the horse's mouth.
As I said when I ran for president, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana.
Wait a minute. Simple possession, right? No one should be in prison for using marijuana. He's going to lift the federal ban, right, on simple possession, right? Now, let's see how many people, right? We know it's 1,000 people in jail for marijuana cases. Let's see how many people in jail for simple marijuana possession, right? Let's see. Let's see how many people in federal prison, right? Actually, the number is 0. White House officials said there are no individuals currently in federal prison solely for simple possession of cannabis. So when Joe Biden say no one should be in jail for simple cannabis possession, he's going to lift the federal ban. He's talking about 0 people. 0, 0, 0. Right? All the people, and ain't nobody in prison right now for simple possession, right? Because the most you can get for a possession of weed right now is a ticket, because in most states it's legal, right? So with Joe Biden talking about, I'm going to lift the federal ban. The federal ban don't need to be lifted, right? Because it's the states that has the power. It's the states that's making it weed legal, illegal, decriminalizing, taxes, all that. It's the states. You don't need to put no federal law on it. So Joe Biden ain't done shit. Joe Biden ain't put no Band-Aid on no cut, right? Because it's 0 people in jail for minor cannabis. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
I thought you might have been high when you said it.
The truth of the matter is, there's not nearly been enough evidence that has been acquired as to whether or not it is a gateway drug.
Right? Joe Biden was saying, right, we don't want to legalize it because it's not enough evidence being required to say it's not a gateway drug. So now, Joe Biden, if you are legalizing it, right, are you saying that weed is a gateway drug, and now you legalizing gateway drugs as bad as the drug epidemic is in the United States? You saying you're going to contribute to it? We know that's a false statement.
Let me tell you, because marijuana in our country is already legal for privileged people.
It's already legal in many states, and criminal records for marijuana possession have led to needless barriers to employment, to housing, to educational opportunities.
No, it hasn't, right? Because people rather you rent them apartment, right? If you got a joint, or you were smoking a joint, or you got caught with simple possession, than they is if you was selling dope out the house, or you had a pimping, child trafficking ring, or you was robbing folks, or any other thing. You was a child abuser, something like that, or child whatever, right? I don't want to say that word on here, but they would be way more weary of giving you an apartment or something then than they will be if your ass was having a simple possession of marijuana, right? And ain't nobody gonna back then, right? You get more right, as far as you being tested for weed on the job. Most people are not tested for weed on the job unless it's a federal government job and they demand a test on weed, because the test on weed is high as shit, right? And they don't want to keep testing on weed. Crack is easy and all that other shit is easy, but weed is the hardest thing to test and the most expensive thing to test. So most companies ain't testing for that shit. Federal employments are, because they don't want accidents and shit happen where they get sued and your ass is on drugs. But most people don't trust. Most private industries don't test for marijuana. So them talking about, oh, it's discriminating against jobs. Oh, hell no. You say all that against everybody. Blacks getting discriminated. Gays get discriminated. Transgenders get discriminated. Black women, brown people, everybody getting discriminated against.
And the war on drugs has been a war on black and brown people.
And that's before you address the racial disparities around who suffers the consequences. I think we should decriminalize marijuana, period. And I think anyone who has a record should be let out of jail, their records expunged, while
everybody should be let out of jail. Now their record should be expunged. You had 2 whole years to do it, right? And why you do it right before the midterms?
Black and brown people use marijuana at similar rates. Black and brown people are arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionately higher rates.
Wait a minute. I got a donation. Tom! I told you Tom was going to be here. What up, Tom? Right? We got Tom. I got some good videos coming out. Tom, when you go to my Patreon, you're going to see some good videos. I ought to go into a commercial break. Right? I saw that Tom not up. Tom!
Zeroed out. But I do think it makes sense, based on data, that we should study what the long-term effects are for the use of marijuana. That's all it is. So today, I'm taking 3 steps to end this failed approach.
You're taking 3 steps to end this failed approach, right? Now, when the government was talking, wait a minute, right? Should I show the information now? Wait a minute. Is this the right time to show this information right now, right? Is this the right time? Okay, y'all go into it right now. Let me go into this last little clip right now, right? Let me go into this last little thing right now. I think I got 2 more, or is it 3 more? I got 2 more, right? Now it says, on Donald Trump's final day, right? Donald Trump pardoned 12 marijuana offenders, including some who had been jailed for life under 3 strikes rule created by who? Mr. Biden's crime bill. This is 18 hours ago, y'all. This is updated. People don't know about this. Remember Donald Trump pardoned all them people 12 days? I mean, it was more than 12 people. He pardoned hundreds of people, right? But some had life sentences for marijuana. Oh, the Democrats didn't bring that up. Oh, the liberals didn't bring that up. There wasn't nobody on social media posting this up. It wasn't nobody saying shit about this. They wasn't celebrating this when Donald Trump did it. I wonder why. Donald Trump law, when he released all these cannabis and all these lifers and stuff like that, was way more effective than anything Joe Biden just passed. Anything. We're going to get back into the video. We're going to get back into the video. Anything.
States with legalized pot can take a deep breath. President Trump is promising he'll support legislative efforts to protect states with legalized recreational marijuana.
It's a debate.
Wait a minute. Wait.
And I want a lot more before I legalize it nationally.
Before you legalize it nationally. Why legalize it nationally? Just like abortions, you leave it up to the states. Donald Trump stayed out of it. You know what Donald Trump done? Left it up to the states, because some states want to legalize it. Guess what? And some states don't. So why you want to make this a federal law and make states who don't want to legalize weed, right? Make it legal in them states, right? Why you want to do that? Some states don't want to legalize weed. Give them that right. What a federal law does is make it legal in every 50 states. And right now, every state has a right to vote on it to make it legal themselves. I
want to make sure we know a lot more about the science behind it. First, I'm announcing a pardon for all prior federal offenses for the simple possession of marijuana. There are thousands of people who are convicted for marijuana possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result of that conviction.
Educational opportunities. Why would they be denied education? Why would they be denied housing and jobs and all of that shit, right? For simple marijuana convictions. That's a fucking lie. That is a fucking lie.
He struck a deal with Colorado Senator Cory Gardner, ending their months-long stand.
Donald Trump did. Donald Trump struck a deal with Cory, right? Because, right, I'm going to let the video play, right? Because, right, Cory wanted the states, right, to have control over who legalized weed and who can't legalize weed, right? Jeff Sessions was against it. Donald Trump said, fuck it. I'm with the people. I'm with the states. More control to the people. Huh? But Donald Trump didn't get no credit for that, going against his own party.
Handoff. Since January, Gardner had been blocking Trump's Justice Department nominees. The move came after Attorney General Jeff Sessions issued a memo reversing guidance from the Obama administration that said not to interfere with states that have passed laws legalizing marijuana. Gardner was furious and argued it violated states' rights.
My pardon will remove this burden on them. Second, I'm calling on all governors to do the same for state marijuana possession offenses.
Now, that's where it gets, right? When you say, I'm calling on all the states, right? You don't need to call on all the states, right? The voters put it up for a vote. The state take it up for a vote, and they pass it or deny it. That's how California done. That's how Vegas done. That's how a lot of states done. You don't need to ask the states. The states already know they have the power. They don't want the federal government getting in control and saying if it's legal or illegal. Leave it up to the states.
Without consulting the DOJ, Trump went ahead and told Gardner that despite the memo, Colorado's marijuana industry will not be targeted.
Huh? Donald Trump say, look, the weed industry won't be targeted, right? It won't be targeted. I'm going to leave it up to the states so they can vote on it, right? Joe Biden talking about federal. What federal does? It get more federal involvement into the weed. It gets more federal involvement into the selling and distributing and regulations and all that of the marijuana. So they're not trying to legalize marijuana. They're trying to put federal regulation on marijuana so they can get their money.
The federal government currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense.
President Donald Trump said he will likely back a bipartisan measure on marijuana. Trump was asked about the STATES Act, introduced by Senators Elizabeth Warren and Cory Gardner before heading to the G7 summit in Canada on Friday.
Did you hear that? He will back up a bipartisan, right? Everybody know what bipartisan means. It means some for the Democrats and some for the Republicans. They came together with a bill and presented it to Donald Trump, and he said, guess what? I back you up, because guess what? It's power to the people.
So I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
46 states, the District of Columbia, 2 territories, and a number of tribes have legalized marijuana in some form.
Even as federal and local regulations of marijuana change, important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales should stay in place.
Whoa! You hear that? That's true. Trump voted for that. You shouldn't sell the minor just like it's alcohol, right? Alcohol shouldn't go to minor. We should have the same regulations of alcohol. You shouldn't be driving under it, working under it, and all kind of different shit, right? But you should be allowed to smoke in your own recreational time.
I support Senator Gardner. I know exactly what he's doing. We're looking at it, but I probably will end up supporting that, yes.
Too many lives have been upended because of our failed approach to marijuana. It's time that we right these wrongs.
Whoa! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? It's time to rewrite these wrongs. Right before election time, right? Let me see, right? Right before election time. We're gonna save this, right? We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Right before election time. Let me get into a little something. CFAC, right? Save it over there. Save it. Be quiet, damn it. It's break time. It is break time, damn it. It's break time. Where we going with the break time? We're going not here. We're going right. What month is it? It's the 10th. It's the 10th month, and yeah, it's the 10th month. We're going right here. We go right here. Right here first. I don't know what this is. We're just gonna play it. We're just gonna open it. We're gonna open it. Break time is marijuana time. Small commercial break. We'll get back to the weed and the marijuana, right? We got to take a small OPEC break right quick. OPEC. This will be on Patreon later on today. You know what I'm saying? OPEC. It's already finished. Time the donation will go inside of this skit. Whatever you said in there will go inside of this skit right here, Tom. When I release it, I guess tomorrow. It's going to be viewer's choice. You know what I'm saying? It's either this one, Hunter Biden, or Mexico, the border. Which one you want? Mexico, the border, or this one, right? Let's play this, right? Let's play this. Let's play this right quick. Boop. Break time. The first time. I know oil was going to go up the first time Joe Biden took a trip to Saudi Arabia.
President Biden is heading home amid the fallout from his controversial trip to Saudi Arabia.
The trip when Joe Biden didn't get shit accomplished, and we all know why.
President Trump has not punished senior Saudi leaders. Would you?
Yes.
Because Biden can't keep his damn mouth shut. And now your ass is begging for oil. Next! Donald Trump didn't have that problem.
Today we begin a new chapter that will bring lasting benefits to all of our citizens.
Joe Biden not bringing shit to none of the citizens. Ours or theirs.
And that friendly fist bump with the Saudi crown prince, a country he once said he wanted to make a pariah.
We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are.
Now at the center of the president's efforts to shore up global oil markets.
The Saudi Arabians ain't forgot about that pariah comment either. Next! Joe Biden called them enemies. Donald Trump called them allies.
I stand before you as a representative of the American people to deliver a message of friendship and hope and love.
And not none of that shit Joe Biden is talking about.
Today, the White House now defending the trip and the president's meeting.
Not all Democrats. Some of them had a problem.
And my worry, frankly, is an MBS is going to have a meeting like this and then laugh behind our back at the meeting.
The trip was not essentially for oil. The trip was about the Middle East and about Israel and rationalization of positions.
So I think meeting with him in particular is an absolutely horrible idea.
But it is a disappointment, and it says that there are problems.
For your ass, they wasn't for Trump.
That is why I chose to make my first foreign visit a trip to the heart of the Muslim world.
Donald Trump trip was a success. Joe Biden trip was a failure.
President Biden seen leaving Jeddah late today, concluding his first Mideast trip as president, which was meant to reset the strained relations between the U.S. and its one-time top ally in the Arab world.
And just like everything else Joe Biden touched, it turned into shit. Next! Donald Trump had to fix what Joe Biden and Barack Obama broke.
Our vision is one of peace, security, and prosperity in this region and all throughout the world.
There's very little social redeeming value in the present government in Saudi Arabia.
No, nigga, but it's oil, and we need it.
The Saudis eager to release this image for the world to see, that highly choreographed fist bump.
Showing Joe Biden kissing the prince's ass. Next! Donald Trump didn't kiss the prince's ass. The prince in the country kissed his.
Jim was talking about the publicity of this and how much we're seeing, but do you see that that chain around the gold necklace around the President Trump's neck there?
Kissed his ass and blessed his neck.
Well, Saudi King Salman presented that to the president. It's a gold medal. The collar of Abdulaziz Al Saud is what it's called, and it's the nation's highest honor.
And Joe Biden got the country's dumbest ass award. Next!
U.S. intelligence officials say Mohammed bin Salman approved the brutal killing of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018.
Sometimes you're at the wrong place at the right time.
President Biden saying he called out the crown prince on the murder and human rights and pushed the Saudis to increase oil production. Tonight, where that effort stands and what it could mean for gas prices here at home.
The effort failed because Joe Biden is not Donald Trump.
So we really have a great friendship, a great relationship. I would really have to say the relationship was, to put it mildly, very, very strained during the Obama administration.
Now it's ending in the Biden administration.
Our goal is a coalition of nations who share the aim of stamping out extremism and providing our children a hopeful future that does honor to God.
Well, Vladimir Putin say America don't honor God. Do we really want in our schools from the elementary grades that children were Imposed perversions that led to degradation and extinction. That's that CRT Vladimir Putin talking about. They teaching CRT from elementary all the way up to college. Vladimir Putin say, do you really think that shit is acceptable to our country's future? Hell no, we ain't going for it in Russia. Keep that shit over there in America. Such a denial of a human being, rejection of faith and traditional value. He right about that. The Democrats try to take Christmas and Jesus out of the holidays. Suppressions of freedom begins to look like a perverted religion, outright Satanism. And that's exactly what the liberals preach. Next.
And I said it at the time, Khashoggi was in fact murdered and dismembered. And I believe in the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear, we were not going to, in fact, sell more weapons to them.
And they made it clear they're not going to produce no more oil for your dumb ass.
This landmark agreement includes the announcement of a $110 billion Saudi-funded defense purchase.
But Donald Trump scratched their back, and he scratched theirs. Next! Joe Biden don't know about scratching backs, but he damn sure know about sniffing hair.
And I would also, as pointed out, I would end the subsidies that we have, end the sale of material to the Saudis, who they're going in and murdering children, and they're murdering innocent people.
Ain't that a bitch? You act like the Biden administration ain't never murdered innocent people.
For the haphazard U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan, the Biden administration is facing new criticism for a botched drone attack several weeks ago that killed innocent civilians there.
I guess Biden civilians don't count.
Yesterday, the Pentagon admitted that it made what it said was, quote, a tragic mistake, believing it was targeting terrorists threatening American troops at the Kabul airport.
Well, Biden administration intelligence made a dumb mistake.
Later, bombing a car, saying repeatedly it stopped another ISIS bomber.
At this point, we think that the procedures were correctly followed and it was a righteous strike.
Biden killed innocent civilians and tell us they terrorists.
But right from the start, witnesses claimed the U.S. got
Oh shit! Look out on the donation. Our skit is coming up in a minute. I didn't put the damn mute on. That skit is coming up in a minute. We got more coming up. I got a little preview of the migrant coming up in a minute too. That's coming up on Patreon too in a minute, right? But we're gonna get back into this weed regulation and how Donald Trump is different from Joe Biden with the weed regulations, right? More videos to come.
For breaking our rules.
Marijuana use has been fully legalized in 8 states, including California. Gardner hopes to introduce bipartisan legislation protecting state marijuana markets from federal interference.
The bill would let states make their own decisions about how they deal with marijuana legalization without federal interference.
That's Donald Trump bill. He wants the states to be able to legalize without federal interference, right? Joe Biden wants federal interference, right? You see the difference? You see the trickery in this, right? And guess what, right? And when Joe Biden said he's going to legalize weed, guess what? Weed stocks went up, right? Because if you don't put a federal law or a federal ban on weed, guess what? People are going to start investing, right? Because weed was banned at a federal level, right? It wasn't banned at the state level. That's why states can do it, right? And there was a lot of weed people getting busted on the federal charges. So a lot of people didn't want to get into it, right? So a lot of people just do the state shit, right? Local little weed shops and shit like that, pay their little taxes to the federal government, right? And shit like that. But now Joe Biden want to make it federal. So now it's not it now since you made it federal, now it's going to be more regulations on the weed, right? And you're going to cut the middleman out, which is the small market businessman that's got the little local weed shop. Their ass is in trouble now. Ha! Joe Biden looked out for the weed industry. Look at the weed stocks right now. Look at the people investing in weed right now, right? It ain't the local shit. They could have been investing in weed. The weed market has went up because Joe Biden is making a federal crime. And guess what? People can start making money out of it without risking federal prosecution.
Gardner said he'll lift all the remaining holds on DOJ nominees. He said he's been working on bipartisan legislation with other senators that would protect marijuana-friendly states from federal government interference.
2 senators have introduced a bill which would essentially end the federal ban on marijuana, a bill which seems to have the president's backing.
End the federal ban. Federal. So, you know what I'm saying? So the state can have control of what they want to do inside of their own state, right? In the federal control. Donald Trump was with that. Why nobody talked about this? Why nobody is talking about what Joe Biden just did, trying to put federal regulations on weed, talking about I done legalized weed, right? He didn't legalize it. He's talking about pardoning people. He's talking about he's going to make it you're gonna schedule it. This it's not nothing different gonna happen. Ain't nobody gonna get more jobs, ain't nobody gonna get more housing, ain't nobody gonna get released from jail because there's 0, 0, 0, 0 people in prison, federal prison, for drug possession.
In retaliation, Gardner took the extraordinary step of using the power of his position to prevent consideration of nominees for the Justice Department.
And that wasn't because of Trump. That was because of Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions was trying to make up laws to try to convict people. And Donald Trump like, hold on, we're not doing that. Donald Trump went against his own attorney general and said, hold on, we ain't doing that. We will let these motherfuckers do their thing.
I did put a series of holds on a number of nominees as a result of this decision. I've lifted those because this is the development that we were looking for, a solution that protects states' rights.
They've taken action, and the law on their books should be protected.
Why Elizabeth Warren didn't say nothing about when Donald Trump, right? When Donald Trump, right, had a bipartisan to sign his bipartisan bill about weed. Remember, Elizabeth was talking about, she Indian, so you know she talk about big weed, her little tribe and shit and all that shit. But why she didn't say nothing about when Donald Trump lifted the regulations, right? Right? And no one talks about the people that Donald Trump got out of prison. No one talks about that. Remember all the people Donald Trump let out of prison, right? Before we get out into people who Donald Trump let out of prison, right? Let's go into another skit right quick. Let's go into, hold on, let me see something. Let's go into another clip right quick. Now, let me play a little of this, right? Nobody talks about the people Donald Trump let out of prison, right? Donald Trump, we all saw Anne-Marie Johnson, right, run, and she got life for drugs and stuff like that. What about the people that Donald Trump let out of the White House, out of prison, federal prison, right before he left the White House? Now, this goes back to the article right here, right? On his final day in office, Donald Trump pardoned 12 marijuana offenders, including some who had been jailed for life under the 3 strikes rule created by Joe Biden, right? Let's take a look at 2 of them people that Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, but Donald Trump got out of prison. You know, let's check that out. Roll it.
That emotional video there shows a California man hugging his daughters and sobbing as he was reunited with them after spending nearly 8 years in prison. Corvain Cooper was sentenced to life in prison for nonviolent marijuana charges back in 2014.
An ex-boxer from Gary, Indiana, serving life in prison is now instead a free man.
The president granted him clemency.
But in his final hours in office, President Trump granted him and 142 other people clemency.
Did you hear that? The people that Joe Biden, right, under his 94 crime bill, right, with the 3 strikes, right, the people that got a life sentence for the marijuana, right, that Joe Biden talking about now in pardon, guess what? Donald Trump been let them people out. The people who got life sentences, Donald Trump let them out of prison already. Joe Biden, you late, man. These are the people you put in prison, right, with your laws. Donald Trump just got their ass out. You late, man, but nobody talks about this. Who was that to send me a donation? Renee, get looking out. Renee, you're going to be in the skit, right? The coming up skit probably, you know what I'm saying, whatever the people pick on Patreon, right, either the immigrant skit or this or the last skit. You're going to be up in there, Renee. Get looking out on the donation, right? But think about this. Joe Biden is talking about all this I'm going to do this for the federal this, I'm going to do this. Well, Donald Trump already let them, the 12 people who got life, and all the other hundreds of people that your ass, right, that your ass in prison under that 3 strikes law, but nobody talked about it. The news didn't talk about it. The celebrity didn't talk about it. The fake news didn't talk about it. It wasn't all in the press. The rappers, none of them talked about it. Why? They depressed it. Well, this is one of the people right here who Donald Trump helped get back to his family.
First, a double life sentence, then reduced to life. But Duke Tanner says, you know what? I have a second chance now, and I'm not going to blow it.
I'm serving a life sentence for marijuana, money laundering, and tax evasion for nonviolent crime.
That's the voice of Corvain Cooper from a maximum security prison. The 41-year-old was featured in the 2020 BET documentary Smoke, Marijuana and Black America.
This moment was 16 years in the making. Charles Duke Tanner embracing his 18-year-old son.
Hey, congratulations. Welcome home, brother. Thank you.
This is Corvain Cooper now, free, at home, finally able to hug his 15 and 11-year-old daughters.
Thanks to Donald Trump. Donald Trump did that. How many black people Donald Trump got out of prison when you saw them hug their family, right? This is not the first, this is not the second, this is not the third, this is like the 10th, 15th, 20th. We ain't never saw this emotion, right, created under anything Joe Biden done. Never. And he created this shit, right? Any law he do right now, you ain't gonna never see people get out of jail crying with their family. I ain't never saw my family. I thought I had a life sentence. You ain't gonna never see this. Never, 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 ever see this. Why you don't see this under the Joe Biden administration? Huh? The 3 strike laws he done, the 94 crime bill law he done, right? All the people he talking about life sentence for petty crimes and weed convictions he put in prison. Why you don't see this emotion on nobody or nothing Joe Biden overturned or people he done let out? Not one. How many black people you saw, right, get up on stage, right? I can believe the dude with the dreads and the gold mouth. I can name plenty of people. I know people personally that said thank Donald Trump. I don't know nobody who said thank Joe Biden for getting me out of prison. Not one person. Not on the Instagram, not on the YouTube, not on the Facebook, not on the whatever the fuck you want to say. There's nobody out there saying, crying, talking about Joe Biden or anybody, pardon me, and pass this law to let me out of prison. No one.
I seen my daughters, and I finally got to tell them, I'm sorry.
Boy, man. You know, they got so many rules, so your family sit across from you, or they can't touch you and certain things like that. So for us to ride back, to drive home, and he was able to lay on me, even though he's 18 years old now, that moment right there felt so good to me. I'm still living off of it right now.
Your dad's sorry I had chose the wrong road and trying to provide for you guys, and it took me away from you guys. And sorry for missing everything that I've missed.
For weed, who was that sending me a donation? Get looking at time. For weed, y'all. Took me away from my family for weed. But Joe Biden said he pardoning people. It's not affecting nobody. It's not going to help anybody, right? And ain't nobody should nobody be celebrating, right? Because these weed convictions ain't helped nobody fairly or nothing. Donald Trump done it already. It's already done. Huh? But Joe Biden want to make it federal. Think about what he want to do. He's talking federal. That's more government regulation. People not knowing about that. People celebrating, they not know what the fuck is going on. Because he still want to make it illegal. He still think it's a gateway drug. Well, he thought it was. I don't think he thinks it's no more doing midterms. But just last year, he still thought it was a gateway drug. We need to do research on it. Now it's all of a sudden it's legal. And we want to federalize and let people out of jail. And How many people pardoned? How many people got out of jail, right? How many people in the next 48 hours, right, 24 hours or anything like that, gonna get out of jail right now because of what Joe Biden did? You don't see nobody. You ain't read no report. You ain't saw no documentation. You ain't saw no evidence of not one single person being affected by the Joe Biden rule. Not one single person in America. If they did, let them get up and testify. Let me hear somebody say, you know what, I was getting discriminated because of housing, but since Joe Biden passed that law, right, I can now buy me a house. I was getting discriminated for my education, but since Joe Biden passed that law, I can go to college, right? I was getting discriminated, you know what I'm saying, because of where I was working at, but now he passed that, I can get a promotion, right? I can live in a different neighborhood, right? All because of a simple weed test or weed possession that I got caught with. Now I can do everything else any other American could do. That's not going to happen nowhere in America. Who says that? Nobody.
I haven't been asleep in 2 days.
Duke Tanner spent 16 years of a double life sentence in a federal prison before President Trump granted him clemency 2 days ago.
It wasn't just you that was serving time. Your family served this time.
Right.
Your daughter served this time.
The pain that I have caused on my kids and on my dad and on my mom and on my family and all my loved ones, and the pain that I caused on myself.
Tanner, who is 38, grew up in Gary, Indiana. He was an undefeated light heavyweight boxer and hoped to go pro. He had never been arrested until he was accused of leading a local gang that sold drugs.
It's been a long 8 years for Cooper and his family. When he was arrested in 2013, Cooper says he hadn't sold marijuana in at least 4 years.
I had a clothing store that it was like a boutique that was called SC Clothing, named after my kids, Scotland and Clear. I had their faces on the side of the wall.
He was convicted for his involvement in trafficking marijuana from California to North Carolina.
And his ass got federal time, right? Now, the only thing the federal law does, right, which in the future, right, it makes it legal, right, and you can do that. It wouldn't be a federal crime to go from one state to another state with the weed, which is good, right? So that's the one good thing in the bill. I ain't gonna say the whole federal ban is fucked up, right? Now, this dude wouldn't have got a federal charge, and he wouldn't have went to federal prison from going to one state to another state, because now that's trafficking. It's a federal charge.
And sentenced under the now widely criticized 1994 federal crime bill's 3 strikes rule.
He was convicted in 2006 of conspiracy to distribute. Tanner received 2 life sentences that was eventually reduced to 1.
Because Cooper had 2 previous nonviolent convictions, he received life without parole for his 3rd conviction.
Life without parole for your 3rd conviction, right? Now, that was unfair, but this was under the 94 crime bill. This is under Joe Biden crime bill, right? So, right, what Joe Biden is trying to clean up, Donald Trump already cleaned up. They thinking Donald Trump. Ain't nobody thinking Joe Biden.
Those 2 previous convictions were later vacated.
Because of the harsh sentence, 3 years ago, Indiana State Senator Eddie Melton started working with others to get clemency for Tanner.
Anytime you talk to Duke, you couldn't tell that he was incarcerated. He would lift your spirits over the phone.
I'm watching rapists get out, and my brother was in prison facing life without the possibility of parole.
Facing life.
Things have changed. You know what I mean? And he's not there all because of marijuana.
People getting life for marijuana. Break time, right? Break time. This is almost over, right? We're going to break time, right? Where we at? Break time. We're going to go right here, right here. We're going to go, where this other video at? Where this other video at? Right here. Boom. I don't know why I named it that. What I named it that. I don't know why. Oh, I wrote over a gay video. I wrote over a gay video. This is immigration bill. This is Florida. Florida with Ron DeSantis going on Patreon right before we finish up the week. Let me give y'all a little preview to Ron DeSantis in the Florida shit. That shit was, you got crocodiles and alligators swimming in the damn street. It was dangerous out there. It was dangerous up in there. Oh, let me go right here. Oops. It was dangerous up in there. Oops. Go ahead and do the damn thing, man. Go ahead and do the damn thing. They say the best shooting practice is shooting at cans. That's Jamaicans, Africans, Mexicans.
Are in custody for allegedly shooting at a group of undocumented immigrants, killing one and wounding another in Sierra Blanca.
It looked like somebody didn't hit the bullseye.
Sources close to the investigation tell KTSM one of these two men arrested in connection with the shooting is a warden at a local jail.
I'm surprised they haven't called them Trump-supporting white supremacists yet.
Shotgun shells on the ground where a migrant was shot and another wounded. These two men, Mike and Mark Shepard, arrested for manslaughter.
And not shooting cans.
I mean, we don't have a lot of information, but what we know is very concerning.
One dead and another in the hospital. Border Network for Human Rights saying this has been a concern when it comes to migrants.
What about concerns when it comes to us?
Here you can see a marker that appears to be left behind from this investigation. This is the road that DPS says that truck pulled over from and then shot at migrants that were getting a drink of water.
They should have came on the George Soros bus. They got Gatorade.
Go ahead and take a look. As we get closer down here, we were actually able to see shotgun shells still here on the ground.
Well, let's just say them immigrants' water well ran dry.
I don't think people realize the amount of migrants that come out here.
This man not wanting to show his face, but says he's lived in the area for 6 years, near where the migrants were shot.
Well, yo, 45 should have went just as crazy. Next!
See a lot of immigrants crossing over the mountain. They come down on our property, middle of the night. I've had an incident at 4 o'clock in the morning, have them show up. My dogs go crazy.
The liberals say the immigrants is the key to building back Florida.
Many of your workers are migrants or undocumented immigrants who are helping in that recovery effort. And a major part of your organization focuses on protecting this vulnerable population.
What about the vulnerable in our population getting assaulted by people in their population?
This evening, just minutes ago, the body of Pinellas County Deputy Michael Hartwick arrived at the Thomas B. Doby's funeral home in Tarpon Springs.
Or even worse, murdered.
A procession escorted him from the medical examiner's office, and people lined the streets to say goodbye.
To a damn good man.
Investigators say a construction worker hit and killed him last night on I-275 before running from the scene.
Probably trying to run back to his damn country.
Well, Emerald, I can tell you this Friday night, it is somber here at the sheriff's office as there's a memorial set up and so many are grieving tonight. I can tell you the sheriff is frustrated, saying it took nearly 9 hours to make 2 arrests because people were lying to investigators.
Like they was lying to get in the damn country.
He says that created a roadblock in this investigation.
Good guy, hard worker, did his job.
Last night around 10:40, Deputy Michael Hartwick was doing that exactly. He was working the overnight shift here along Interstate 275. He parked his cruiser, he got out of his car, and his job was to protect construction workers.
And he got killed by an illegal construction worker. Ain't that a bitch?
Explain the significance of having migrants facilitate the rebuilding process.
Not important at all. I know some homeless, jobless veterans that can use that work.
Shortly after, investigators say a construction front loader was driving north on I-275. That truck ran over Deputy Hartwick, killing him instantly.
And ran from the scene heartlessly.
Well, Secretary, these are people who have been rebuilding American homes, schools, and cities since Hurricane Katrina.
The governor's office wants to know whether the employees fooled the company. The sheriff in Pinellas County says the company needed to do more to make sure that the operator of that front loader was never behind the wheel.
And so what they have now is not just skills and expertise. They have a whole lot of that. They're incredibly talented.
The driver, Juan Ariel Molina Salas, never stopped.
But they also have a deep sense of vocation around this work.
The operator of the front loader kept going. He got on a phone call, called another construction worker, was crying on the phone, not making sense.
Juan Molina Sayas and Eliezer Gomez Zelaya are both undocumented workers.
And whoever hired his ass should be accessory to murder.
They feel spiritually connected to the difficult work of helping people come home.
And some do the not too difficult murders and kill innocent citizens.
The other thing that we're concerned about, particularly in those areas that were really hard hit, is, we want to make sure we're maintaining law and order.
That's something Donald Trump would say. Next!
Sheriff Bob Gualtieri says Molina Salas kept going for about a quarter of a mile, pulling off into a parking area where another construction worker was.
Both from Honduras, and both gave deputies fake names.
He told that other construction worker that he had just killed the deputy and took off his hat and took off his vest, his traffic vest, handed it to him, told him to hide it.
That man, later identified as Eliezer Gomez Zelaya, took Molina Salas's hat and vest, hiding it in a wooded area.
The sheriff also says they both worked for Archer Western, a massive contracting firm based in Chicago and Atlanta, but with offices all over, including Tampa. The sheriff says Molina Sayas told his bosses a tall tale, starting with a fake ID from North Carolina.
So they are going to be a significant force of this recovery. They'll be the white blood cells of Florida, and all of the recovery efforts will depend on them.
I mean, is that really what these contractors are doing? Is that how they're doing business? And they're just taking all these people who don't have a driver's license.
Billions of dollars are poised to back the recovery efforts, but you need workers to do the rebuilding.
And if you're talking about workers as in migrants, don't worry. Joe Biden gonna provide you with plenty of that. Next! And what happens when the migrant workers turn into killers?
He has no qualifications to drive a front loader. And what he said is that what he told those people is that back in Honduras, he worked some construction and he knows how to operate this thing. So they said, go ahead.
We don't need no ID. We take your word for it. Next! I can't go to a damn grocery store without a damn helmet and a damn hall pass, but this nigga can come over here and get a job without an ID and a citizenship.
The governor's office said today that we are currently investigating the matter.
I don't hear outrage about the criminal aliens that have gotten through and have then victimized people not only in Florida but all throughout the country.
4 swimming to shore on Stock Island at 7:30 Wednesday morning. The U.S. Coast Guard says crews in these MH-60 Jayhawk helicopters are still searching by air in all directions for the others.
I didn't hear any outrage about that. The only thing I hear them getting upset about is you have 50 that end up in Martha's Vineyard. Then they get really upset.
Hazards on and offshore are real. This group says they know they risk their lives.
For the right to be free. To be free.
And your ass should be locked up because your ass is breaking the law, hurricane or not. Next!
I don't have the authority to forcibly relocate people.
That's why the migrants volunteered to leave to a better place.
Floridians' right to defend themselves and their homes will be honored.
At least 4 looters have been arrested in Florida's Lee County following Hurricane Ian. Authorities say 3 out of the 4 arrested are in the country illegally.
If I could, I would take the...
We got to come back to this. We got to come back to this, right? Let me finish up this whiskey because I got to do a ton of Bobolinsky tonight, right? But we're going to have, I'm going to put these on Patreon and y'all have an opportunity to vote on which one should I release. Hurricane Ion or the oil or Hunter Biden, right? I'm going to do Hunter Biden tonight. I'm putting them all up today and y'all can see which one y'all want to release on YouTube tomorrow, right? right, well, let me go back into this. All right, let me go. Let's see. No. Nope. I'm supposed to push no. Supposed to push no. Right. Open. Right, we was right where the hell I was at. Where the hell I was at? I was. Man, I done forgot. Oh, here we go. Right here. Boom. Right. We will put that up. I got to do Tony Bobolinsky tonight. The Hunter Biden shit is out of control. You know I got to do Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, one of my favorite people to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I've been working on Hunter Biden tonight. You know what I'm saying? If I get enough donations, I'm gonna release all of them tomorrow. If I get enough donations, all of them be released tomorrow. Damn it! All right, let me get back into this. Right, with Joe Biden lying to the people.
To distribute. Tanner.
Convictions were later vacated.
Because of the harsh sentence, 3 years ago, Indiana State Senator Eddie Melton started working with others to get clemency for Tanner.
Anytime you talk to Duke, you couldn't tell that he was incarcerated. He would lift your spirits over the phone.
I'm watching rapists get out, and my brother was in prison facing life without the possibility of parole. Things have changed. You know what I mean? And he's not there all because of marijuana.
Everyone in our generation was well aware of Charles Duke Tanner.
And then it's legal here, so it makes it even worse.
Senator Gardner said the bill would help shore up the conflicts between state and federal law, especially as it relates to the current banking situation of marijuana-related businesses.
Change came to California with
banking, money. Is money involved, right? You see how all these local businesses, and I tell people all the time, right? I tell people all the time, why you think all these weed businesses done popped up in California? Because Donald Trump done cut the regulations and made it possible, right? He took the federal shit out of it and protected the local states, right? And that's why states are able to regulate their own businesses as far as marijuana. Donald Trump left that shit alone, and that's why all you niggas got all these weed spots. Huh? That's why you niggas making money. If Joe Biden get into this shit and put some federal government backing behind it, or make it federal regulated and all this old shit, right? Oh, we're gonna make it legal, but this gotta happen first, right? Or we're gonna have to pass this, right? It's gonna be laws up in there that make the rich richer and the poor poor, right? Because right now, since the Donald Trump ended all them regulations, anybody can get a marijuana spot. Anybody, and it'll be legal. You can make a marijuana spot out your own damn house and it'll be legal, right? Under Donald Trump.
And cannabis was legalized in 2017.
My kids have to roll by every day while living in California, and they have to see more dispensaries than they can even see liquor stores.
The city of Denver, the state of Colorado can collect taxes. As Massachusetts businesses can collect taxes. They can take it to the bank, but if you're in the business, if you work for the business, you can't get a bank loan or set up a bank account because of the concern over the conflict between the state and federal law.
Huh? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? But if you put federal laws in it, you still go them loans and all that shit still gotta be federally regulated, right? They want to take it out of the federal hands, and this him and Elizabeth Warren, right? It was bipartisan on this bill, Republican and a Democrat. Take it out of the federal government hand and leave it into the state's hands.
We need to fix this public hypocrisy.
Clothing store that I built from the ground up with my kid's face on it, had all events and everything, and finally to try to make my dream come true, turned to a dispensary. Need to change the clothing store to a weed store.
Right? People was changing, and it was supposed to be legal, right? But under federal law, the Joe Biden shit, right? Not under state, right? Not under Donald Trump shit. They came and arrested him for a federal crime, right? Under some shit Joe Biden did, right? By not making it legal or not making it federal. Donald Trump said, I'm going to stay out of the business. I'm going to let the states do it. Joe Biden didn't. Barack Obama didn't.
Gardner went on to say forcing marijuana-related businesses to operate cash only is a public safety risk, forcing them to keep thousands to millions of dollars of cash on hand. But the bill would not require all states to legalize marijuana and instead provides a pathway to more self-governance for states who already have.
Huh? State governance. Ain't that the same with abortions and everything? Donald Trump say, you know what I'm saying, leave it up to the people. This is something Donald Trump tried to pass. This is Trump support this bill, not Joe Biden. Why ain't nobody celebrating Trump winning the weed dispensary game?
While the nation has been decriminalizing marijuana possession and its use over the last decade, relief for Cooper didn't come until the last day of Donald Trump's presidency, when he granted Cooper and at least 11 others like him clemency.
They said the president signed off on your clemency today. So I just started sweating and praying all at the same time.
So I'm in a cell for about an hour, and then they come to the door and say, pack it up, you got 5 minutes to get out of here. You just got to immediately release. And I just break down.
Wow, just like that.
This is not a legalization bill. I think that's very important. This is an approach that allows the states to move forward. If a state like Oklahoma or Kansas or Nebraska chooses for themselves not to do this, they do not have to. The federal law remains the same.
Right? And Donald Trump backed that. Federal law remains the same. You don't change the federal law. Keep the federal law the same. Just let the states regulate their own shit. Joe Biden ain't going for that.
Just like that. I made my first call, and I called my mom, and she said, I'm crying uncontrollably. But she says, what are you crying for? Ivanka Trump called me at 12:30 and said that you're coming home.
President Trump's possible support of the legislation is in sharp contrast to Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who in January promised to step up prosecution in marijuana-related cases, including in states where the drug is legal.
Huh? Donald Trump didn't allow that to happen. Joe Biden went against, Donald Trump didn't allow that to happen. Donald Trump went against his own attorney general, like, fuck that. We're not going to regulate these laws. We're not going to incriminate these people, right? He wanted to go after the criminals, right, and people that was in states, right, where it was legal at. And Donald Trump stopped that. Huh? Why ain't nobody celebrate Donald Trump? Huh? Joe Biden ain't done nothing. Donald Trump did this. Joe Biden is riding on the coattail of what Donald Trump done. Right? And Donald Trump done fixed what Joe Biden done. All these people, right, crying and going back to their family was sentenced under the Joe Biden 3 Strikes Act. Donald Trump let him and hunters like him go. He didn't have to. He was already supposedly going out of the White House. He didn't have to do that. He could have said, fuck all these people. Leave them in jail. They didn't vote me. He could have said that. He could have turned his back on all of them. But he said, you know what? I'm finna let these people go. If I'm in the White House or not, these people deserve a second chance. So what? I'm gone. Let these people go back to their family. It's still unjust, right? So if Donald Trump was racist, right? If Donald Trump didn't give a fuck about black people, he didn't have to do this going out his last days of the White House. We think he was doing it to get the black people vote again? To get the black support? You think he was doing it for that? He had no other reason to do it, right? Because Donald Trump had a good heart, and he thought these people had a bad shape, and they needed a second chance, and he gave it to them. Life in prison. Donald Trump turned around 2 days before he left office. If he wouldn't have done it, nobody wouldn't have said shit. Just like he done it, nobody said shit. He ain't bragging about it. You ain't heard Donald Trump. There are times you know there talking about I released this many people and Joe Biden. He talking about other shit, right? But you don't. This is part of the of Donald Trump that the news ain't gonna tell you. This is part of Donald Trump that niggas don't know about. This is the part of Donald Trump that people need to know about, right? When you call him racist, why did he do this if he racist? Why is these black people on the news crying if he racist 2 days before he get out of the White House?
A homecoming for a father trying to make up for what he missed with his daughters Clear in Scotland.
It's like to have my dad home, it's like a relief. Like, it's like when he was in jail, it's like I was missing a part of him. It's like a piece of me is back.
It was like memories lost. Like, I would see my friends have their dad there and they would pick them up, and I didn't have that memory with my dad.
A dad determined to set an example by growing a message of hope.
Tanner and Senator Melton will now be working together to help other men and women who are in his position.
And not only did Donald Trump let out people, right, that was doing time and doing life, he let out people that was going to contribute back to their neighborhood and be examples to their neighborhood, and probably are examples to their neighborhood. You probably look on their Facebook, you probably see a foundation, you see them supporting people, trying to encourage people not to make the same mistakes, right? So Donald Trump not only helped people, right, he didn't let people out of jail and they got, with this bail shit and people going out robbing and beating people upside the head and pushing people in front of trains and shit like that. He didn't do none of that. Right? He let people out that's going to be productive member of society.
Now, I'm not just talking about, the black guys or whatnot. It's a bunch of white guys back there, a bunch of brown guys back there with life sentences and double life sentences.
How do you save someone like yourself at that?
You hear that? White lives matter, brown lives matter. It's not black people, it's everybody back there, right? So Donald Trump law affected everybody because it wasn't just black people getting out, right? I mean, it's black people don't hear this. I forgot to put that one in. The hearing, I forgot to put that one in. Damn it. You know what I'm saying? But it was a hearing about the same shit when a white man was talking about how Donald Trump laws got him out of jail, and I forgot to put that in, speaking of white shit. Damn it. I guess I put it in later or something, right? But it's not only black people; it's everybody, right? So like when you say the boat, a tide lift all boats, or whatever the fuck it is, it lift all boats, black, whites, whatever. Even though it mostly affect black people, because mostly black people in these positions of getting life in jail with pounds of weed and ounces of weed or whatever the fuck Joe Biden talk about, it affects black people proportionally, yeah, right? But it also affects a number of white people too, right? Because there's a number of white people, if you look at the little documentaries, a lot of white people that was in jail over the same shit, right? And got out.
That time?
First thing I'm going to tell them is they get to see the results. They get to see what actually happened to me. I got a life sentence. I'm going to show them the stuff that they're chasing is all fool's gold.
And paying it forward, helping kids in Gary stay on the right path.
And he said, Champ, every time I come home, Champ, we're going to work together. We're going to get some things done. We're going to do it for the kids.
Boy, man. I'm hearing that, Champ. Let's hear it. Yeah.
One America's Eddie McCubbin reports.
When have you ever saw a motion like that, right, with Joe Biden, right? Plenty of families, plenty of black people, plenty of minorities, right? But Donald Trump don't get no credit. So while you celebrating this bill, right, about racial equality and shit like that, remember how many people it affects. It affects not one person, right? And if it do affect somebody, at the most, it would not affect over 1,000. So all this hoopla, all this celebrating, all this we done it, all this we accomplished shit, right? He only accomplished something very, very, very small that he can try to get big, big credit for, right? Because it affected no one. No one gonna get extra housing, extra benefits, none of that. Right? None of that. So I don't even know why. I mean, if you look up, if you Google YouTube, right, search, YouTube search Joe Biden marijuana, you see all kind of, marijuana this, every Young Turks, CNN, MSNBC News, CBS, Joe Biden decriminalized it. He didn't do shit. They're not telling you the numbers of how many people it's going to affect or not going to affect, right? If you got plenty of people in the Senate, right? Black people or even white people, right, on the Democrat side say, "Oh, this is unfair. This is this," and making the problem seem bigger than what it was or what it is. Of course, they're gonna look way big when you finally do something about it. Oh, they finally done something about it. Y'all been hollering about it in debates. Y'all been hollering about it in the Senate. Y'all been hollering about it in interviews. You know, y'all been hollering about it in all kind of shit, right? And y'all finally done it, and it affects no one. They're trying to take credit for something that affects less than 1,000 people, possibly. Right? Because there's no one in federal prison for petty weed. There's no one they in jail for taking. You only can go to jail for weed if you have enough weed and you take it from one state to another state, because that's the only time it becomes federal. If you take a blunt, if you take a nickel bag of weed, a dime bag of weed, you take a probably even an ounce of weed, right? You're going to state prison. Federal prison ain't they fit to come up and do no investigation, say where you buy this weed from, where you going with this weed, how much this weed you was selling, how much what did you what you paying your taxes. They're not going to do no shit like that. But if you get caught with pounds of weed, they're going to say where you going, how much money you got, let's check your bank account, or how long you been selling weed. They're going to do all of that. And then it becomes a federal crime, because it becomes state to state, because then they're going to find evidence you've been doing this, right? Then it becomes a federal crime. But if you got caught with 1 ounce of weed traveling across the state lines, they're not going to send you to federal prison. They're probably not even going to send you to regular prison. You probably get a fine, there's a time in jail, probation, or something like that, right? So Joe Biden making this bill, and the Democrats and the liberals making this bill bigger than what the fuck it is really nothing. Nothing. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to my Patreon. If you ain't subscribed to my Patreon, I will be dropping that. If you ain't subscribed to my Rumble, it's Black Rosebud 24/7, all one word. Subscribe to both of them. Really subscribe to my Patreon, because I need that support, y'all. Whenever I get that support, I will be back on YouTube releasing these videos and stuff like that. I just need about 50 more people to subscribe to my Patreon. That's it, and that's all. You know what I'm saying? 50 more people that support me to subscribe to my Patreon, and I can be back on YouTube on a regular basis. So if you ain't subscribed to that Patreon, go ahead and subscribe to that Patreon for only $5 a month, right? Because I'm gonna be doing something different on Patreon, because I'm also hooked up with something new. I can't tell you what I'm going to do, right? What I'm going to be the first person or first comedian to do, right? But I'm in the works with somebody, right, that's going to help me out, right, with my little comedy. And he's a computer geek, right? But he created something, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be the first comedian to do it, right? So those who got what's that called? The metaverse, I'll be coming to you, right? But it's going to be something special. It's going to be something different, right? It's going to be my creative mind inside of a reality. Virtual reality, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to be the first comedian to do it. It's not going to be no other comedian that does it. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it, I can say I'll have my own little. Now I'm gonna be in somebody's city, right? I'm gonna be the comedian in somebody's city, right? In the host of my own shit in somebody's metaverse, right? So people be able to come to the metaverse and chop it up with people with whatever, however the metaverse go, right? So I'm gonna be on the comedian, right? I'll have my game show and do all kind of stuff on a virtual reality thing that nobody else can do, right? I'm gonna be the first. Right, but because it's gonna be in the works real fast too, right? We're gonna have to hurry up and put that shit in the works. But I'm gonna be first before everybody start doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because I am an innovator, a trendsetter, and all that old shit. And when you put two black ideas and two entertainment or two nigga ideas together, you know what I'm saying? You get nigga shit. When you put two white people brains together, you get white people shit. When you put two brown people ideas together, you get brown people shit. When you put everybody people ideas together, you get good shit. All right. Ha! So let me get up out of here. I'll talk to y'all on later on the rebound. Thank y'all for the donation. If you ain't donated, go ahead and donate to that Cash App or that Patreon. The link will be at the bottom. I'm out.